Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's episode and the first episode of 2024 of the Arete podcast. Hopefully, everyone had a good new year. Hopefully, it's off to a good start. I remember the first day of 2023 for me was actually quite bad, so I knew it was going to be a rough year, and it was. But hopefully, 2024 is a much better go of it. And for this episode, we have a very special, albeit short episode with no guest, but we are doing the first ever Arete Podcast Network Awards. We have 5 categories, and since this idea was come up with a little bit late, thank you for the inspiration, spur of the moment. But since it came a little bit late, it's a little lacking in the categories. This year, I want to do more, and I want to put out voting earlier. It'll either be in late November or early December, probably early December. We'll find some way for the listeners to be able to vote on all the categories. This year it was just done inside the private Discord server, which you get access to when you join the Arete Podcast Network. But anyway, we will get right into it. So the first category of the 2023 Arete Podcast Network Awards, otherwise known as the Arties, hopefully that catches on, is the funniest episode of 2023. There are 3 nominees. The first nominee is Canada versus USA from the Arete podcast, featuring our good buddy Toast. The second nominee is Ken's Destroy Barbie movie from the Average Intelligence podcast. And the third nominee is Autopsy of Goosebumps 2023 from the Goosebumps crew. And with 75% of the votes, the winner is Ken's Destroy Barbie movie from the Average Intelligence podcast.
Wow, thanks for setting us straight, Macho Man Randy Savage. I've really learned a lot about egalitarianism and equal treatment.
Don't mention it, Barbie. Macho Man is always here to help me out.
Yeah, bro, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
I feel that we have all learned a valuable lesson about the patriarchy, feminism, and true equality. Bonesaw is relieved.
So when we do this for 2024, we're actually going to have trophies get made. And there's another thing we're going to do, but I'm not going to give away the details yet because it has something to do with something else that we have planned for 2024. But for now, for this year, we just get a high five. And you know what? We'll make a digital trophy for all the winners. I can do that. And then the next category is Best Guest of 2023. So which podcast had the best guest? For this one, we had 5 nominees. The first nominee is Alexander Sokal from 2 Talk 2.0. The second nominee is Tim Jacobus from the Goosebumps crew. The third nominee is Chase Cortez de Vargas from the Part of Your Broadway World podcast. The fourth nominee is the band Again and Forever, featured on the Arete podcast. And the fifth nominee is Kyler Self from Self Health Fitness, who was a guest on the Average Intelligence podcast. And the winner, with 50% of the votes cast, Tim Jacobus from Goosebumps crew.
I didn't get a lot of information at that point, and I'm trying to present the cover the same way to you guys, the viewer. Like, something bad's going to be happening back there. Even I don't know what's going to be happening next.
So congratulations to you guys. I'll send you your trophy a little bit later on. And the next award goes to Best New Podcast of 2023. And before we announce the nominees and the winner, I want to take a small moment to invite you to be a part of this category next year, because this will be in next year's awards. So you can start now. It doesn't matter if you join in January or December, although your chances are arguably better the earlier you join the network. If you've got an idea for the podcast, reach out, aretemedia.org. You can fill out the contact form, or, you can find me anywhere on the internet. But that is the best place to get the ball rolling, whether you've got no experience or a lot of experience. If you already have a podcast and you just want some help with cross-promotion, we can help everybody and everything. We're all trying to grow together. That's all we're trying to do. So the nominees for Best New Podcast of 2023 are all the new podcasts. We have the Arete podcast, Part of Your Broadway World, Toon Talk 2.0, the Spur of the Moment podcast, and the Goosebumps crew. This was a very, very tight race, but by the slimmest of margins, and by the looks of it, by only one vote, the winner of Best New Podcast of 2023 is the Goosebumps Crew podcast. So congratulations to them. We're very proud of all of our new podcasts. Each and every one of them has achieved milestones, and I couldn't be prouder of what we were able to accomplish this year. And the fact that there were literally 5 brand new podcasts on the network in 1 year is just staggering to me, and I absolutely love it. I love it, and congratulations to all of you. And I'm so excited for what's going to happen in 2024 with all of you. I cannot tell you how stoked I am. And we're all just going to grow, and it's going to be awesome. 2024 is going to be an amazing year. I can tell already. Well, you know what? I'm going to take a moment because I think everybody on this list literally deserves so much praise and shout outs. So I'm going to take a moment to really shout everybody out because I'm so proud of all of you, and you should all be very proud of what you've been able to accomplish. I'm not going to shout out Arete podcast because that would be self-aggrandizing, and I'm not a fan. But feel free to do so in the comments if you so choose. But I mean, Part of Your Broadway World, I mean, that, wow, despite all the early setbacks, never once did she give up. She always found a way to persevere and ended up getting some really, really cool guests, either already on the podcast or lined up. And 2024 is going to be really, really cool for the Part of Your Broadway World podcast. And the episode that I was on, the Christmas Carol episode, was a lot of fun. And we're going to do it again sometime. But yeah, extremely proud of Part of Your Broadway World, and I think the sky's the limit for what that podcast can do. And then my buddy Virus, as far as origin stories go, this podcast, Toon Talk 2.0, has like the coolest origin story ever. I've said it before, but communicate with people on the internet. It's crazy. I cannot believe that I met this person just randomly from him liking a bunch of TikTok videos, and then it grew into a really good episode and then a brand new podcast, and so much is coming down the pipe. I can't even tell you how excited I am for all that stuff. And Toon Talk 2.0 from the outset has gotten some really interesting and cool guests. So shout out to Virus for making that happen. Just awesome work. And then you've got the Spur of the Moment podcast, which is so aptly named because it's another person that we just randomly found each other on TikTok. Sounded wrong, but we did. We literally just ran into each other on TikTok, commenting on various things, and I found Justin to be legitimately entertaining and always having a good take. And just randomly, it was like, you should come on and talk about Godzilla with me, because I think that's when we actually started quasi-communicating, or at least around that time. And then how quickly he was able to start his podcast is an inspiration to everyone, because I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks after he came on my show, he had already gotten his co-hosts lined up, and they started rocking and rolling. And their format is so good. I was floored at the genius ideas that he and Jordan had, and they do such a good job. You should definitely check out their podcast if you haven't already. You should check out all the podcasts, frankly. And then the Goosebumps crew, who, if you want to talk about hitting the ground running, I mean, they got Tim Jacobus, someone who, like, a legitimately, certainly in their community, a legitimate celebrity, on their 3rd episode. And their numbers are fantastic. The show is engaging. I'm not a hardcore Goosebumps fan, but the show's entertaining to me, and I learn a bunch of stuff. And it's always cool to watch people that are passionate about something do what they do. It's infectious, and I cannot, they deserve the awards that they've gotten. Everybody deserves all the credit and all the accolades and everything, but I will digress, and we'll move on to the next category. Podcast episode of the year. And for this one, we have 7 nominees. Oof. So the first nominee, so basically for this one, just full disclosure, I went through everyone's podcast and picked their most viewed episode. So next, for this year, we're actually going to have people vote for their nominations. I had to throw something together this year, so this is everyone's top performing podcast of the year. I should clarify, of the year. So we had second Republican debate from Average Intelligence Podcast, and then we had episode 2, which was actually their first guest, Alexander, on Tube Talk 2.0. The third nomination, we have episode 54, AEW Collision with Itself from Down the Middle. For the fourth nominee, we have Muay Thai MMA fighter Andrew the Brick Wall Sosa for the Arete podcast. God, that was such a good episode. Sosa always surprises me when I talk to him at length. It's a very fun conversation. Let's see. The fifth nomination, we have Jagged Little Pill from the Part of Your Broadway World podcast, which was also their debut episode. Our next nominee, we have Special Birthday Episode from Spur of the Moment. That was Justin's secret plot. And then our final nominee, we have Autopsy of Goosebumps 2023, also their debut episode from the Goosebumps crew. And the winner, with 50% of the votes, is Special Birthday Surprise from the Spur of the Moment podcast.
Oh, someone's calling. Someone's calling in. Who's calling in?
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're good. We're good. We're just talking about Saw.
And now the final category, with Podcast of the Year for 2023. Everyone is nominated, so the nominations are Arete Podcast, Average Intelligence Podcast, Down the Middle, Goosebumps Crew, Part of Your Broadway World, Spur of the Moment, and Toon Talk 2.0, which, if you didn't notice, I just listed them alphabetically. And I will say, and this is a shame because I honestly don't like the result of this, because not everyone voted on this one. But with 50% of the vote, the winner of that is the Arete podcast. I disagree. I didn't vote for myself. But thank you. I really do appreciate that. Means a lot. I put a lot of work into all this stuff, and I really do appreciate it. I respectfully disagree, but I will take it. I will take it. I'm not going to give myself a trophy, though. That was the Artie Awards for 2023. I promise next year it will be a lot bigger and better with more categories. I could only come up with 5. I could really only come up with 5 decent ones a couple days before the end of the year. So I'm actually very pleased with how it turned out, considering how quickly I threw it together. But thank you for enjoying this and all the other podcasts on the network. I hope you continue to enjoy them all going into this year. We have a lot of very exciting things planned for you, and hopefully 2024 is a great year for everyone.